I'm a huge Double Dragon fan. I think most people that played beat 'em ups, even in the 90s, you didn't have to start with the original one for the Nintendo, but I did watch my father play that. But I played Battletoads and Double Dragon, Super Double Dragon, which is still my favorite out of all the Double Dragons. So when I heard about this, I thought, yeah, we back in business, especially after Streets of Rage 4 did so well. But the developer, I believe it's Secret Base, they let's just say if you like their game Streets of Red, this might be for you. But as far as beat 'em ups and the mechanics they implemented to this, it's just, yeah, it's a no for me. I honestly, I wish I didn't buy it, which is hard for me to say because it's like it's Double Dragon, or at least it's a Double Dragon skin, but it's kind of like they implemented, I guess, their style of play, which instead of like a dodge button or a block button, if your super bar is filled, you can hit L1 and sub your character out. But what they don't tell you is they have perks and upgrades you can buy in between levels after you complete them. So you can buy these perks to kind of upgrade how your character functions. So you might buy an upgrade that when you tag out lets your health recover 100% or 50% faster. Or if your health is low, under 50%, there's a upgrade that will allow it to heal back to 50%. But the problem is these upgrades are random and you can only purchase one. And the game only has a couple of stages. It's not that long, but characters basically differ in how much HP they have and their playstyle, which to certain degrees, like for example your super with Jimmy, he has a rush super. I think it's forward and triangle. He rushes forward, basically does like a punch combo, and then a double palm strike at the end. The problem is a lot of enemies can slip out of it, and not as if they're dodging it, it's just depending on where they're at when they start getting hit with the combo, they just slide out of it. Almost as if it doesn't function properly. But there's a couple of like loopholes and errors like that with a lot of the attacks from your end. But they have a few like good points I would say to it. Like the characters definitely play different. It's unique to some degree, but it just Billy's the safe bet, which is he plays a little bit more like Double Dragon. I mean they took his uppercut away, but he does kicks now. Just kicks. So yeah, it's not, it's not really, it doesn't really play at all like the older Double Dragons, which even Super Double Dragon was different from the original. But it's just the mechanics they implemented on this. It's a no-go. Like even the difficulty, like you can dumb down the difficulty, but they really want you to rely on that L1 swapping out, which wouldn't be bad, but it's like when you switch out, the player that they're hitting still, like, he stands around for like a few moments and instead of just leaving. Like, he doesn't exit the way the character you swap in appears, and that character that you swap in, if you don't if you don't have the upgrade or perk or whatever, if you haven't purchased it, because you don't start off with it, he comes in and the combo is still going. So you just swap him out and he gets hit with the combo, and then they give you another chance to swap back out. But that character that you swapped out for originally to save from the combo, he still might be standing around getting hit or just standing there. So now you can't swap out and you can't initiate a super because you're not invincible while you do the supers on here. So the whole idea of that L1 thing being a defensive measure, it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible mechanic. But they have a few things on here that weren't so bad, like the idea for as you beat the levels, the other levels kind of bunker down, reinforcements, and they add more stages to it. So it's like if you beat the first board is kind of like a one and done, and you can choose to which base you want to attack first. There's 4 different gangs. I believe Duke is the boss from Super Double Dragon. They have him on here. There's a lot of characters that they implemented on here that are throwbacks from the older games. It's just like I said, the mechanics to this, to the for the play style, and it's kind of like they wanted you to really utilize these mechanics in order to do well, because health is scarce. Like, you might find maybe 1 or 2 containers, and it might be like a little bit of health. Like, I want to say it's 25. The hot dog does 25 health, and the hamburger does 50 or 50 or yeah 50. And then I believe the turkey, which you gotta you gotta get a kill streak with your super on 5 people to get the turkey. I think that gives you 100 health. But as I was saying, you have to land these attacks with the supers, which is difficult enough to do because some have delays. Like, you can combo somebody out of the way of your super while your super is still going, and you might get 3 and you initially were hitting 4 or 5. But it's really the mechanics to this that's holding it back. A lot of people complained about the story. The Double Dragon was never about the story. Most beat 'em ups aren't. It's usually clear cut, clean up the city, too many gangs, corrupt officials, so on and so forth. Somebody's girlfriend got kidnapped. That's how the original started. On this one, it's pretty much the same deal. The father is mentioned as missing, which I thought it would be a rescue mission for him, but I don't even know why they mentioned it. That was just like never a concern. The girl Marion gets carried in by the mayor, who I guess she was attacked by a gang. I'm not sure if she was a cop at that point yet, but she was attacked by a gang. The mayor carries her into the dojo instead of the police station. Like, I don't know who wrote this, but it's like, you can't make this shit up. But yeah, so it's a couple of things that's like, damn, man, like, how much thought was put into this? And don't get me wrong, I'm all for change. Like, there's some, like, I feel like everybody that does like this, they're familiar with Secret Base's work on Streets of Red, and even in this, like the final stage. So you get an option, kind of like a throwback to Streets of Rage, certain games like that, beat 'em ups, where you get to the last boss and they make you an offer, or you get some sort of offer from somebody, and you say no, and then come to find out this person is the new problem, or now you have to fight another stage, and there's a bonus ending or a true ending, however you want to call it, and from it's usually really difficult. But as far as like difficulty go, I think with the proper mechanics, and the difficult part should be the learning curve. It should never be like, wow, this is crazy and imbalanced. Okay, firefighter truck. Anyway, um, you pretty much you go into this last mission if you make the right choice, and you get all four bosses thrown at you. Not to mention enemies with guns on here, ridiculous. They can shoot at you from off screen, and most enemies on here, even if you dumb it down, they do crazy damage. It's like one hit stuns you, and you can just get beat up the entire time. And you can spend in-game money that you unlock, which is more like points. It seems more like points to me. And you unlock these. You get this money. You build this money up, and at the end of the game, you can transfer the money out for tokens. And these tokens pretty much allow you to buy the bosses in the game. They're the 9 or so characters that you get added on to the 4 characters that you already have. But it's pretty much, I could have did without that if they would have just had better mechanics. I mean, the graphics. I mean, there's not many Double Dragon games that ever looked good anyway. But I was really hoping they would have did something a little different with this one. I mean, it's 2023. This looks like a Game Boy Advance game. But and like I said, I could have worked with that if the mechanics were better. Like, because that's what's important. The gameplay for the beat 'em ups. There's nothing wrong with a challenge, but beat 'em ups are for simple fun. Like they're not supposed to be like, oh man, you have to play it this way, or you have to get the hang of it. It's like they're supposed to be simple, entertaining, quick. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need any save points, which is, they stuck to that on here. You could get through this pretty quickly, but it's like the frustration. I try. I usually get these beat 'em ups to play with my nieces. I've been playing the game with them for about a year or two now. They're like 8 and 9 now, so started them off when they were like 6 and 7, and it's like we were running on the streets of Rage 4. They were good. They didn't pick everything up immediately, but the mechanics are more true to a beat 'em up. Like, you fight, you might have a special might have a penalty, which makes it a risk to use. They have that on here, but it's like the risk is now when you get hit, you can't tag out. And I kid you not, even if you dumb down the enemy's stats, it makes it harder to get tokens, even if you dumb down their aggression. 1 to 2 combos can be it for you. 1 to 2 combos, I kid you not. And it's game over. And the bosses, even when you unlock them, like, of course, it's, you're getting like the great value versions. Because the bosses just spam their supers. Like, I didn't even know the bosses had regular attacks until I played with them. But, yeah, they just super spam. And hyper armor and endless goons. And at first I'm thinking, like, okay, like, the endless goons not bad, because you get enough you chain enough super KOs together and you get, a health drops. which in a ridiculous fashion, every time my health drops, it pauses the gameplay. Screen blacks out, like the background blacks out, and it really emphasizes like it's like a big hot dog on the screen, or a big hamburger image on the screen, or a big turkey image on the screen. But it's like it just that brief moment it interrupts the flow of the game. And when it first happened, I thought, okay, this is because they know I'm just starting. This is to get me familiar with the game. No, it happens every time you do it. So every 3 super KOs in a row, or 3 to 4 or 5, get ready for the game to stop for a brief second or two, and it's going to put that food on the screen and let you know it's there, and then it's going to drop somewhere in the area where I guess you've landed the last KO or something. I've had some of the food drop off cliffs, but more often than not it drops, to its credit, it doesn't fade out, because if it faded out, it's like, come on, the food is already, like I said, if you're not lining up setting up these supers, which is why I feel like the supers should have been executed better with invincibility, and they didn't have to put 3 different supers. They could have legit just put 1 or 2 supers at the most that really worked for the situations that they put in front of you. And for a game that has no dodging, it has your typical enemies that dodge, what is it, shadow clone jutsu, whatever you want to call it, substitution jutsu. They just vanish, flip around. You got enemies that you might have to chase down one guy like 3 or 4 times before you can land a hit. And it's usually the guys that do the scratching or like the flipping in the air, and it's like it's ridiculous, because they could have gotten rid of this tag team thing. I would have been fine playing. I think a lot of people would have been fine playing with just one of the 4 characters that they originally give you, and a dodge button or a block button. Like, these guys are martial artists; they can do either one of those. But it's like I said, it's just the mechanics that really hold this game back, and the imbalance, and like they really shine through because of the mechanics. Because if the enemies hit hard, but the mechanics were better, it's like, all right, well, the risk is, yeah, they do hit hard even if you dumb it down, but it's easily avoidable, or not even easily avoidable. It's just avoidable, or the fight mechanics are set up better. They have an upgrade so that when you jump through the air and land, like when you do the double jump or the flip, they call it a hard landing, break landing. They have an upgrade that stacks. I think it's called quick on your feet. That makes it to where you don't hesitate after the landing so long, to where it's punishable, which is strange because jumping is like the only way you can dodge on here. But it's pretty much like that for everything. Like, everything you do on here is punishable, like from your supers to everything. And then it's annoying to come across certain enemies to where, like, they have a dodge. Like, they can initiate an attack. I've snuck behind the guys who do the scratching and the flipping, and they're still doing a combo, and I'll go to hit them in the back of the head. Auto guard. It's like an automatic evasion move to where they flip, attack again. I dodge that, attack, they flip again. It's like, am I really chasing this one regular bad guy because he has a dodge and I don't? But yeah, this probably would have been much better if it was just Streets of Red 2. This way, they weren't pulling in fans like me who were expecting a Double Dragon game and got what looks like Streets of Red 2 Double Dragon spoof. But I mean, a lot of problems that were mentioned, especially with the mechanics, could have easily been solved if this was 4 players. Better yet, if it had online. But they're supposed to be implementing online later. I don't know how true that is, but as for me, online or no, the mechanics is the deal breaker. It just, it's like the beginning of the flaws, along with random upgrades. Like, I think Jimmy has starts out with 90 health, and Billy starts out with 80, and you don't even get to. It's like you don't even get to. You could have the money for all the upgrades in front of you, like the four random upgrades in front of your character. You can have the money for all of them, right? Now, granted, it's random, so it still might not be any of them that you actually want, but you can only buy one per level. So every time you complete a level, you can only buy one, and since it's random, you might not. It might not even be one that you're using. So you can really go through an entire run on here, and it's gonna be difficult, regardless. And because of the random upgrade release, you could get offered a bunch of stuff to where it's like they have a just take the cash option. It's like, okay, I can't work with any of this. I don't care about any of this. None of this helps. I might as well just take the cash, the extra cash, which is gonna go to the revive course cost. But yeah, like I said, if you played, any, Streets of Red or any of their similar work to that, Secret Base is similar work to that, then this is for you. But as for me, yeah, this was terrible. I really wish Double Dragon wasn't attached to this. like like this is a hard pass. But that's just my review, my opinion on this. If you made it through this rant, appreciate it. Thanks for listening. If you have an opinion of your own, feel free to leave a comment. Thanks.